Welcome to the Roar of Judah. Our mission is to hear God's voice above the noise of this world. And now, here's your host, Dr. Mike.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Roar of Judah. I'm your host, Dr. Mike, and I'm very excited for another guest to share with you her heart. And, I think back in Scripture at the very beginning, after God created, says that he walked with Adam and Eve in the garden. And then all the way back in the last chapter of Revelation, it talks about the nations walking in the light of the New Jerusalem. And right in the middle of the prophets, one of my favorite verses, Micah 6:8, says we're to do justly, we're supposed to follow mercy, and we're supposed to walk humbly with our God. And, walking is a very important part of our walk with Christ, our relationship with God. And the person that I'm going to introduce today has written a book on this. And she loves animals. She loves dogs. And her book is called Walking Like a Dog. So I'm excited to hear about her inspiration for that and what she has to share on her hearts about those things. So please welcome with me, Lisa Hauenstein. Hi, Lisa.
Hi.
So great to have you today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And I'm very interested to hear more about the book, kind of what God placed on your heart to write this for us, and how walking like a dog can kind of mimic how we're supposed to walk with Christ. But before we dive into the book, if you could share a little bit about yourself, your family, anything you would like viewers to know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I am a registered nurse. So writing this book was totally God, because nurses don't write in sentences. We just check boxes. So to start this book was really just from God. But so I've been a registered nurse working at the same hospital about 38 years. Our two children are grown, and our daughter lives in Dayton, Ohio with her husband. And our son lives here in Ashland, and we have 5 grandkids, 3 dogs. And so when everybody's together, it's chaos, total chaos, but it's all good. Both my children and their spouses are believers and walkers with God. So that's been amazing and such a blessing.
Good. And I'm going to let you jump right into kind of your inspiration and your story and the fingerprints of God that you've seen along the way in this process. And then at the very end, after you share your story, we'll talk more about the book and, how people can get a copy for themselves. So Lisa, I'll just let you run with it.
Okay. Thank you. Yes. So how this book got started was probably 20 years ago, maybe even 25. And we had a dachshund, a little miniature dachshund at that time. And she was always afraid of the sweeper. And whenever I would sweep, my husband would hold her. But if I got closer to her with the sweeper, she would get all excited and jump right out of his arms and try to go under the couch or try to hide from me. Which any place she chose to hide, I was able to get her. But where she was safest at was in my husband's arms. But yet she would jump out of his arms every single time. And I remember one time when I was sweeping, just thinking to myself how silly she was that she jumped out of the only arms that could really save her. And then it was just like God just was like, yep, that's you. And I was just like, that is me. I am my dog, jumping out of the only arms that can save me and keep me safe. So then after that, when I had that revelation, I would journal it. And then I would just keep noticing things that my dogs would do. And I'm just like, that is still me. I am still doing things like that. One of the things is one of our dogs would always get moss out of a flower pot and run through the house with it. And it was just like, Mac, why are you carrying that moss around? It's doing no good for you. He would try to eat it, and it would be dry in his mouth, and he would spit it out and vomit. And I'm just like, that is no good for you. But then again, I thought that that's how I am with anxiety. I feel like I carry anxiety around with me all the time. And God is saying to me, why are you carrying that? That is no good for you. Let it be. Leave it in the pot. So I just started journaling some of these things that I noticed with my dogs and just really reflecting on them, but never once thought that I was going to write a book. Joking about it, like, hey, I should put all of this stuff into a book. But again, I'm a nurse, so not even thinking that a book was even in the plans. But my family kept knowing that I was journaling these things and kept influencing me to write a book. And then I just feel like in the last couple of years, God has really made that apparent. Like I couldn't avoid it. God was like, this needs to be done. And I have a friend who's an author, and she was just like, I will, take you under my wing. I'll show you how to write a book. And she's like, you need to take these writing classes. You need to do a blog. You need to be on social media and have all of these followers. And I was just like, I'm not interested in that. That is nothing that I want to do. I do not want to take writing classes. So I just kind of avoided her. And then we joined another church, and the church has a lot of published authors in this church. And one girl I met, and we became really good friends. And she's just like, just go on the internet and, Google publishers, like Christian publishers. Always having the option that I could probably just go on Amazon too and just submit the book that way. But I just thought I really wanted to go through a publisher because, again, I'm a nurse and I don't even know how to write. So at least I would have an editor that could go through that. So I start the process. I get interviewed by a couple publishing companies. They read my book or my manuscript, and then they said that they would publish it for me. But then it was like, which one do I choose? So one day I was at our local Y here in my hometown, and I'm there by myself, 5 a.m. in the morning, by myself. And all of a sudden on the television screens come advertisement for this publishing company, Christian Faith Publishing. And that was the one that I had interviewed with. And I was just like, oh God, thank you. Thank you. This is the one that obviously he wanted me to go with. I've never seen that commercial before, never seen it again. But that morning, 5 a.m., I'm alone at the Y, and that commercial came on TV. So that's the one that I chose to go with. So I feel like in this process, God has been involved through the whole thing. And I told Mike, I think when he asked me about this, is that this is God's book. It is not mine. It is not mine. I just wrote it, but it is totally God. The book is about my experiences, my life and stuff. So it's been healing. It's been healing to write it. It's been healing to read it. And like I said, I like the publishing company. They were able to do exactly what I wanted to do. God is revealed in it. And that's all that I wanted to be, is for him to be glorified. Mike, you mentioned at the beginning about Genesis. And in Genesis, I do say that, day 6 is when dogs were created and animals were created. And I just feel that that's what I referenced in the book, that God uses his creation to reveal himself. And to me, it was evident in things that my dogs did. I was doing the same way. We were walking the same in our life. So that's kind of the influence behind it. And like I said, God has shown so many things. In signing the book, people have wanted me to sign it. He gave me the verse he wanted me to use. Teach me your way, O Lord, and I will walk in your truth. Psalm 86:11. That's the verse he wanted me to use. And then one of the biggest things that's come of this is that my daughter is involved with, it's a nonprofit group in Dayton called Dear Dinah, and it supports survivors of human trafficking. And I was at one of her events one time, and it was all of these volunteers that were there and all of the things that these volunteers were doing. And I live 2.5 hours from that. And I'm like, how can I help, God? How can I help? I live too far away. And I just felt God saying, donate all the profits from your book to Dear Dinah. So that's what I've been doing. And I just, it's just been really amazing. Like it's been a whirlwind. It's been something that I never dreamed would happen ever. But God was I just feel very confident that God has been in this and wanted me to pursue this. So that's kind of where it's been. And to think of something amazing that's happened through this, I don't even know. And I think that that's what's the most exciting about it. For some reason, God wanted this book written, published. And if it was just to help me through some of my experiences through my life, then it was accomplished. If it's to help somebody become a Christian or even their next step in their Christian faith, then I just think that it's totally worth it. Totally worth it. So I think that that's what's been an amazing thing about it. I don't know. And people have told me that they've read it and the way that it's changed them. It seems like people have paused in their life and maybe reflected on some things. And to God be the glory. So I don't know if I'll ever know, but God knows.
So what do you think for like the general population? What would be the number one thing that they could learn from watching a dog walk?
I know, and it's silly. And I don't know. Like I said, just see God in it. See God in it. And it doesn't even need to be, my kids are like, Mom, are you going to write another one? And my son's like, I think it should be sleep like a cat, and I'm like, maybe, but it's not going to happen. But yeah, so honestly, I just think seeing God and all of his creation. I mean, and I reflect in the book, I reflect on Romans 1:19-20, where it says, God is in everything and there should be no reason people don't see or believe because he's in everything. And that's what I feel about with this book. I mean, it's dogs and it's going to capture people that like dogs, but I hope that they see the real meaning of it. And I don't even want them to see the meaning of me, but just that God is in everything and to see it and acknowledge it.
Yeah. And there's so many people interested in sharing their stories and, putting out books as well. What is something that you wish you would have known before you started writing, that you learned somewhere along the way that it would have been just so much easier if you had known that ahead of time?
I think is probably just if you have that feeling that you want to, then do it. Don't hold back. It isn't hard. It isn't hard. Like I said, I didn't do it on Amazon. From my understanding, like you just submit stuff to Amazon and they do it for you, but they don't edit it or anything like that. So, I mean, if that's your thing, then do it that way. But I knew that I had to go through a publisher that would. And one thing that I do, if you do choose to go through a publisher, make sure that it's a publisher that lets you have the final say. Because I know the one person that I referenced at the beginning, she's had publishers before and they wouldn't even let her pick the cover of the book. So my publishers were very much like, I had to read, I don't know how many times I read the book because they would make changes and I had to approve those. I told them what I want my cover to look like and they did exactly what I wanted. And if it wasn't what I wanted, they would have changed it. So I guess I would say that just make sure that you have the final say in your book.
Okay. And from like the time you sat down and started writing a manuscript until you got published, how long of a process was that? And what was the most challenging stage?
Yeah, that was, but I'll tell you, once I started listening to God and quit, because like I said, my first story about my dog and the sweeper, that was probably 20 years ago, if not longer than that. My son was young. Yeah, but once I was just like, okay, God, and just, submitted to how I felt he was leading me, probably 2 years. And yeah, and it wasn't hard. It was simple, but I think that that's because I was writing a simple thing. I mean, dogs were close to my heart. I had already had it all written out and then I just needed to put it together. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. So I guess the device just to take notes, write notes, anything, journal, and then it's easier then to put it together at the end.
Okay. And just, as you were going through this process, like, was it on your heart that this is more of a personal thing for me? Or did you have the idea that I hope this will impact as many lives outside of myself as possible?
Yeah, that's funny that you would say that. I wanted to impact as many lives as possible. Some of my friends that they would read a chapter before, and one of my friends was like, Lisa, this is really personal. And I was just like, oh, really? I just was like, is it? And I guess I just didn't feel that it was. I just want God to be glorified through all of it because that's the purpose of it. Yeah, I have a story, but everybody has a story. And I hope that whatever I shared about my dog, somebody can relate to. Whatever I shared about my personal story, somebody can relate to. But in the end, it's all about God and his provision and his love. And that's how I end each chapter, with a prayer. So yeah, it is personal. And that's what I said. I don't know why God wanted me to write it. Was it healing for me? But that's not my intention at the beginning.
Okay. And just as you kind of shared about your kids, talking about maybe writing another book in the future. And, one thing that stands out to me, being in ministry and, small groups is a big thing in the church today. And, people are always looking for studies.
Mhm.
And I can tell you, when you look at the list of those studies, there's so many that just don't sound all that interesting. And I could see someday, if somebody picks up a list of potential studies that they could do in their small group, having one called Walking Like a Dog, I think would stick out right at the top.
Yeah.
And it's almost like if you could turn this into like a 8-week small group and have 10 discussion questions, people read a chapter and come together and discuss these 10 points. How many chapters does your book have?
There's 18 chapters. It is a very quick read. I think it's only 100 pages. It's a quick read. And I have had somebody say that, like they read through it and then she's like, now I'm going back and just doing one chapter a week. So, I mean, there's not questions in it, but I definitely think it could be something like that.
Right. Yeah. And I'm thinking, like, if you're going to write another book, to write like a small group guide.
Yeah.
To kind of go along with it might be like the perfect thing that people could do. So if people are interested in checking out more about your book, if they'd like to purchase a copy, what would be the best way for them to do that?
Probably the best way would be, it is available on Amazon. It is available Barnes & Noble, iTunes, and Google Play. So it can be on your iPad, it can be that way, or a book.
Okay. And I'm guessing people who have listened to this interview this long are probably animal lovers. And I'm sure they'd love to hear about your 3 dogs and their unique personalities and what you have going on in your house right now.
Yeah. So we have 3 dogs. 2 of them are labs. One of them is an English lab, and then the other one is an American lab. They will both be 9. Mac will be 9 at the end of this month. Macy will be 9 in February. And then we inherited a peekapoo when my mom died, and she is 12, and she's going to outlive all of us. I'm probably going to have to put her in my will because the little dogs just last long. She's been in our house for 4 years, and she has become the alpha. My big dogs are 80 pounds, and they're afraid of her. Mm-hmm. So that's how our household is right now.
And I'm looking at your book cover. Is that your daughter and Macy on there, or that's just totally random? That is
random. There is. And if you look at the cover a little bit closer, there's a black lab on there too. So there is 2 dogs on there, a yellow and a black. And then my hair is not dark. And somebody said, why isn't that blonde like yours? But I don't know. When the cover came to me, I liked it. So that's how I chose. But it could be my daughter, but it isn't.
And if people were interested in reaching out to you, is there an easy way for them to get a hold of you?
Yeah. My email is lhaue@yahoo.com,
right?
.com, yeah, .com.
So sometimes you got the .nets.
Yeah, no, .com.
Yahoo's the .com.
Yeah, well, I giggled at that because my daughter can't believe I still use Yahoo. But, I mean, it gets to me, so it all works.
Good. And any final words of encouragement or inspiration or a favorite verse you'd like to share with everybody?
Yeah, well, right now it's just that verse. Teach me your way, O Lord, I will walk in your truth. And yeah, that's kind of what I'm learning right now in my life. Sometimes it's easy to listen to lies. It's easy to follow lies, and God is truth. And so just teach me your way so I can walk in your truth and not listen to the lies of the world. So my encouragement would just be do it. If you feel encouraged to write or encouraged to read the book, do it. Do it.
Yeah. And thank you so much for sharing your heart and also following God's leading in writing the book. And, my prayers would be it impacts way more people than you could ever imagine.
Yeah. Amen. Thank you.
And hopefully somebody listening today is going to seek it out, find it. And like I said, it just is going to have a huge impact on their walk with Christ.
I pray that also. Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Lisa. Thanks so much for watching this episode of the Roar of Judah Show with Dr. Mike. I hope you were inspired and encouraged to grow in your own faith. Please follow us online. We're on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, your favorite podcast platform, all under Roar of Judah Show. Also, we'd love to hear from our viewers. Leave a comment. If you want to email us, we're roarofjudahshow@gmail.com. You can also visit us online. The website is www.roarofjudahshow.com. On there's a link to our online store. I'm a licensed professional counselor. I specialize in anxiety treatment. You can find my Freedom from Anxiety video program that's already helped thousands of people. Also, I have a 90-day Freedom from Anxiety devotional book. We also have all kinds of merchandise to help you share your faith, and I hope you'll check that out. We also believe that we all have a story that declares God's glory. If you'd like to be a guest on this show, we'd love to have you. On the website, towards the bottom, there's a little form that you can fill out, and we would love to hear your story. So may the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May his face shine upon you as you let your light shine, so others would see your good deeds and worship your Father in heaven. This is Dr. Mike signing off. Until next time.